Here's something that's been bugging me about the digital circus. Everyone keeps talking about how Jax lost his friend Ribbit to abstraction, and we're all feeling sorry for him. But hold up. What if Ribbit wasn't actually a victim at all? What if Ribbit was the one who completely messed up Jax's head, and that's why he's such a nightmare to everyone now? Look, I get it. This sounds wild because we've been picturing Ribbit as some innocent friend who tragically abstracted, but hear me out. When you start connecting the dots about psychological trauma and how toxic people operate, Jax's behavior suddenly makes way more sense. The smoking gun? Episode 6, when Jax tells Pomni,
"You don't even know what people are like before they abstract. They are not pleasant to be around. Like at all."
Now everyone thinks this just means they get depressed. But what if Jax is actually describing what it's like when someone becomes emotionally abusive right before they completely lose it? Here's the thing about toxic people. They usually don't start out terrible. They've got their own issues. And when they're spiraling, they often take it out on whoever's closest to them. So picture this. Ribbit's getting closer to abstraction, completely panicking, and instead of dealing with it properly, they start blaming Jax for everything. This is textbook emotional abuse behavior, and it explains why Jax acts the way he does now. Abuse victims often end up thinking they're poison to everyone around them. Sound familiar? Jax constantly tells people he doesn't care, but the second someone tries to actually connect with him, he has a total meltdown and pushes them away harder. And get this, Jax keeps calling himself just a simple cartoon character who causes problems, but you can tell he's not proud of it. He's trying to convince himself that's all he's worth. That screams of someone who had their self-worth completely demolished by another person. But what makes this even worse is that maybe Jax actually fought back against Ribbit's treatment. Maybe he finally said enough and stood up for himself, which could have been what pushed Ribbit over the edge into abstraction. Now Jax thinks he literally killed his friend by refusing to be a punching bag. But wait, it gets darker. What if watching Ribbit abstract triggered Kaufmo to start falling apart too? Imagine Jax having to go through this exact same cycle twice, watching someone he cared about become impossible to help, then blaming himself when they abstracted. No wonder he's terrified of emotional responsibility. It's not just fear of loss. He's genuinely afraid that getting close to people will somehow destroy them, because that's what happened before. The crazy thing is, we might be watching this pattern start again with Pomni. But here's the difference. Pomni actually knows how to communicate and ask for help instead of just dumping everything on one person. She might be the key to breaking Jax out of this toxic cycle. The real danger, though? Jax's whole identity is built on being unpredictable and in control. But characters like Gangle are starting to push back against his behavior. When that facade finally cracks, all that buried trauma is gonna explode, and he might become the most dangerous abstraction the circus has ever seen. This completely changes everything we thought we knew about Jax. He's not just some jerk dealing with normal grief, he's a trauma victim who's been convinced he's toxic to everyone he touches. Maybe when Goosework said we'd never guess who's closest to abstraction, it's because Jax isn't sad about losing friends. He's drowning in guilt that was never his to carry in the first place. So what's your take? Think there's enough evidence that Ribbit was actually the toxic one? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more theories.